Do you regard black magic as being purely fictitious, or is there some truth in it?
Some truth. 100% truth. There is nothing fictitious about black magic, in any way whatever. It is a fact. It is a fact which has existed for several thousand years. I mean, when we talk about black magic, we are talking about Satanism, necromancy, alchemy, witchcraft, the worship of Satan.
You know that reptilians and Draco, you know, the blood sacrifices, the whole Luciferian thing, the kids being killed and eaten. I mean, that humans have been eaten and taken off planet, et cetera, and used for slaves in other colonies, etc.
I hate to say that, but that's far worse than what you've just said.
It's far worse.
Yes, far worse.
Far worse, yeah.
And that the whole blood situation is it's unbelievable, and
right.
I don't know how we say that to the public. I don't know how. To me, if we get into that, and I know all about it, okay,
all right,
far more than you know.
Sure,
all right?
I'm sure.
When we get into that, if we release it, 70–80% of everybody that listens to your program is going to say, you're smoking pot. I don't believe that, and I don't believe anything you people talk about on extraterrestrial. And it's going to kill what disclosure is trying to do. That's my opinion.
But you know the pedophilia is starting to be exposed everywhere. You know that much is coming out.
Oh, yeah. But you know the part that I don't want to talk about.
I hear you.
Okay?
Yeah. Saying as much as you said right now is actually great.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we don't want to turn them off to any...
We don't want... You just said it. We don't want them to be turned off. We don't want them to not believe what's being said. Okay?
I know, but...
And this...
Yeah, it's...
And some... We can get into it partially, but I'm saying I personally don't want to be involved in doing what Bob wants to do. It's too heavy. I think it's going to really hurt getting more people to get involved in this subject. Okay, they're going to say that Bill Tompkins is smoking pot. I don't believe one damn word. I don't want to hear about any of this. Okay,
yeah.
I don't want to hear about it.
My philosophy on this, which is humans are not protecting themselves. They're not protected. And so if you don't warn them, you're culpable. The next time somebody gets snatched and eaten or taken away, or their child, and I'm more concerned about the children, obviously, than anything else.
That's
you know.
That's it. Well, that's what.
And so that's my statement. My statement is, I care about the children, and I want to protect the children. How can you protect a child? You must tell them. You must tell their parents what's happening, what's really going on this planet, and it's about time we humans are able to protect ourselves. There's a lot of New Agers out there who want nothing but to believe that there's ETs, definitely, but they're all hearts and flowers and good guys.
Right. Yes. And
this is such a dangerous thing to put out there, because again, you get humans that will not be able to protect themselves. And
the Navy had been involved with the German facilities in Antarctica and the Draco reptilian facilities in caverns in the Antarctica. And you have Draco reptilian guys running your governments of every country on your planet.
Every government. There you go.
Wow.
That's quite a statement. Does that answer your question?
I'm sorry. It's not what we want to hear. No. When we got to the moon, we found out a lot of surprises, okay? The Draco reptilians were already there. And we knew, because we had probes when we went, non-manned probes that we sent around the moon. So we knew there were facilities on the backside. We knew a whole lot that people didn't talk about. But we were in a position where this moon is not a moon, okay? it's not your moon in the first place. Actually, this is not your planet. This is their laboratory. Okay?
Right. Okay, the Dracos, you mean? Or the reptilians?
Draco reptilian / reptilian.
And I'm going to ask you what they all look like and all that, you know, at some point.
Okay.
Because I know, okay, let's get to when it was it Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, and he said that thing that you heard him say, and Michael wants to get real specific about this. So basically there were 7 huge craft there, and you said on one of the shows out there, you said that the reptilians actually showed up beneath their craft and they gave the finger.
Okay, they were parked around the side of the crater. Yeah. Okay, they were not parked on it, they were floating above it.
Okay, yeah.
So there were hundreds of these 9-foot reptilian guys standing with their legs.
Hundreds.
Yeah, they were all the way across the underneath their vehicles.
Okay,
standing
so
on the
9
crater.
feet, and what do they look like?
They're ugly looking lizard, alligator type people. They got the same skin as the lizards got.
Right.
Okay, and terrible looking faces. But then they have the ability to shift and look like a human. All of them do. Okay?
Okay, do you think Von Braun was a reptilian?
No.
You really don't?
No.
Okay.
Your president, yes.
Oh, what? Which one? George Bush Sr.? Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Bill Clinton and this guy you got just got rid of. Yeah.
Yeah.
They all were.
Right.
Okay?
Okay, so before we get into this one, just to let you guys know, I've officially started my Patreon page now, and I made the account a few months back, but I never really updated any information on it because I wasn't planning to promote it until now. I've made the monthly payments the lowest price I possibly can. The website won't let me make them any lower because I'm not here to take all your money. Pretty much as simple as that. The only reason I'm bringing this out now is, one, because I've got a ton of stuff that I'd like to show you guys that I really can't do on this platform for obvious reasons. 2, I'd like to be able to give private lessons and seminars showing certain people more in-depth things and showing you how you can do this by yourself, so you don't even really need my channel to decode anymore. And lastly, it's been requested of me to make one on multiple occasions, so I did. Something else I'm going to be doing on my Patreon is supplying you guys with handouts that go with each video, sort of like the ones you get in school or in uni, but you know, minus all the lies and dogma. The point of this, I think, is that this stuff that we're learning about, it's a lot easier to understand when it's actually in front of you. No joke, I've got about 4 or 5 notepads full of just random notes and hits on gematria that I just used to sit and stare at and read through, and I felt that putting it down on paper really helped this stuff stick in my brain. So people learn differently as well, so supplying other mediums can't be a bad thing. I'm going to give the handout to this video away to everyone just so you can see what they look like, and it will serve as a little preview as to some of the benefits that you'll get from my Patreon. So yeah, let me know what you think about them. So after this, all the handouts will be available through my Patreon, but you can find the download link for this one in the description. And honestly, people, it's really nothing that deep. If you can't support the Patreon, don't worry about it. I'm not locking any key information behind paywalls, you know, I'm not that kind of guy at all. I'm still going to be posting on it all the time, so it's not like you're going to be missing out on anything major. It's just that I am just seriously restricted when it comes to what I can and what I can't show you on this platform, you know. For those that do subscribe, the money's just going to go straight back into the channel because I don't really have the best setup for making videos, to be honest. I made this channel just randomly on a whim one day when I just woke up and just completely pissed off. I must have woke up and saw the most coded news message and was like, right, fuck it. I'm making a channel. I can't keep my mouth closed anymore. Yeah, it was one of them ones, so I didn't really think this channel was going to do much. So yeah, everything would just be put back into it pretty much. But yeah, it's no big deal if you can't subscribe, man. The love on here is all good. It's all good. On another note, I am incredibly thankful for all the support and kind words you guys leave on these videos, and I've had some fantastic conversations with a couple people on Instagram still, so let's keep doing that and let's get straight into this video today, because boy, Boy, we got something to talk about today. We are talking about the Draco bloodline, or the Dragon bloodline, and the quote-unquote 13 families of the Illuminati. Although I really don't like using that word there, but I think it's just the most fitting to encapsulate what we're talking about here, okay? So, the Illuminati. What's the Illuminati? I'm pretty sure every single one of you on this channel are familiar with the 13 families that are commonly labelled as Illuminati. Got Astor, Bundy, Collins, DuPont, Freeman, Kennedy, Lee, Rockefeller, Rothschilds, blah blah blah, goes on, and the 13th bloodline is the Merovingian. And we're going to get into that at some point, but I need to tell you about a load of other shit before I can explain what the Merovingian bloodline is, because that is where it gets a little different. Okay, so first things first, Rh negative blood and the line of the Draco. Now, reptilians are part of the reptoid species, and they came from the constellation Draco, of which Thuban, which is the Arabic word for snake, is their alpha star. This constellation is home to the Draconian Empire. Now, these reptoids predate humans. They've been here permanently on Earth for over 15,000 years. But many believe that they've been here permanently on and off for millions of years, which is why they've got this massive fucking chip on their shoulder when it comes to Earth's dominion, and which is why they believe they have a natural right to it, and which is why they fight for it, and which is why they've got us all under control, because they essentially believe that this is almost their God-given right, for lack of a better term. Yeah, not God-given right, but you get what I'm alluding to. They were here first. And now there is an elite group of reptilians, okay, that call themselves the Draco. And they have the abilities that other reptilians do not have. So people get this confused sometimes. People call reptilians Dracos and Dracos reptilians. Yeah, that's true, but this elite group who call themselves the Dracos are a little bit different. They got some different type of powers. Yeah, the ability to travel interdimensionally is one particular power they have that not many other ET races have at all. So this elite race, who have called themselves the Draco, is the race who have in fact infiltrated certain bloodlines on Earth in order to change the course of history and keep Earth within their control. In other words, the reptilians from the Draco are the real Illuminati. Yeah, so it's not just every reptilian is in the Illuminati. There's certain ones. There's a hierarchy, okay? And we'll get in more into the hierarchy on my Patreon and stuff, because again, that's just where it gets techie as fuck. I mentioned that Thuban is Arabic for snake, okay, which is why we see the snake is one of their sigils and is commonly tied in with the reptilians, okay. However, another one of their sigils is the dragon. Not only that, but the entire lore surrounding dragons is linked directly with a particular species of reptilians called the Alpha Draconis, or the winged Dracos. Now, dragon mythology is ubiquitous. It permeates all cultures. All cultures have a name for dragon, even though the animal cannot prove to have actually existed. Dragons, much like monsters, unexplainably appear in many remote cultures such as Hopi, Huron and Zuni. And this is because they have always been on Earth since the dawn of time, and every culture has had their experiences with them. Therefore, every culture has a name for them. The Alpha Draconians predate humans well over hundreds of millions of years. They're the Draconians who were seeded here by another unknown and vastly superior reptilian race that I'm not going to discuss today. They appeared in our reality from another dimension, somewhat like the Hindu Sanskrit text referred to as the Lokas. Some Hindus believe that there are 14 Lokas, or worlds, that make up a multiverse, and they believe that there are inhabitants in each of these different planetary systems. So the Alpha Draconis existed prior in a different dimension or a different locus, and then incarnated here. And now the propagation of these beings on Earth initially began with the seeding of the dinosaurs, okay? As sauria-blooded dinosaurs evolved into Iguanodontia, dinosaur intelligence became more sapient. Eventually they became upright and walked as bipedals, known as saurians. As they became more sapient, they also developed telepathy. Over the course of millions of years, their societies became highly advanced to the point that the saurians developed a space program even more sophisticated than the one we know today to be NASA. And we've already spoke about this before. The Saurus, what does it mean? Saurus means dinosaur, right? And the Saurus, the book of the lizard, the reptilians. Look how the gematria all fits perfectly here. And I've touched on this before previously, but we're really going to start pulling this shit apart now. Now, the Saurians may have been aware of their history and identified, or perhaps longed to find, the Alpha Draconian Stargate and their progenitors that came from it. In time, these advanced Saurians became known as the Alpha Draconis and developed what ufologists know today as the Alpha Draconian Empire. Those Dracos that were seeded here millions of years ago are the same beings that we've seen infiltrate some of the most powerful families in the world. Now, why do you think all of these families interbreed, okay? Because they need to propagate a bloodline. More specifically, the particular bloodline that these high-ranking reptilian shapeshifters, Dracos, possess is the Rh negative bloodline, or the rhesus negative.
Yeah.
So is that related to the Greys or reptilians or the two families?
Most all of the reptilian beings, the Alpha Draconis, and well, I mean, if there's 6 or 7 types of reptilians that are on this planet. Some snakes, some velociraptor looking, some actually look like dinosaurs, but generally they have, the shape-shifting ones all have rhesus negative blood.
And you can see here, I've already told you how these guys work off inversion, right? Inversion is magic to them, and we're going to get into inversion a little bit more in a while, and this will tie in very nicely. Just try and keep this in mind. Also, I wanted to mention that daemons equals 118, like inversion and rhesus negative, blood type and group. If you know, the Greek word for demon was daemon. What did my man say in the beginning, in the introduction? Who's on the moon? Who basically runs the moon? Who's got all the bases on the moon, yeah? The Dracos. Yeah, and we know they're highly advanced with tech. This also threw me a little bit. A daemon in computing, okay, is a program that runs continuously and exists for the purpose of handling periodic service requests that a computer system expects to receive. The daemon program forward the requests or other programs as appropriate. So we have this program that runs in computers called a daemon. We have the Greek word daemon, which is talking of demons, which means from the moon, and we know that the moon has been conquered and built upon by a certain race or a certain being. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense. If you see what I'm hinting at here, think of my Saturn time cube theory. I'm not going to go into it now because it'll pull us off topic, but there's definitely some information to be taken from there. Also, just to note, more 118s, Queen of the United Kingdom, George Herbert Walker Bush, 2 known reptilians, the destruction of the world, and ancient mystery religion, all sum to 118. I thought that was worthy of mentioning. Okay, so now we need to talk about the number 7 in reference to the number 77, and how the 7 represents the archetype of our divinity, essentially. Okay, so we'll start with the absolute basics here. The Masonic sigil we know is the compass, and it's 47 degrees. And we also see the huge G in the middle, okay, which is the 7th letter of the alphabet, G. So these are interchangeable. This Masonic sigil could be seen as a 7 or a G. If you take a look throughout history, there are innumerable amounts of references to the number 7, and some noteworthy ones are 7 archangels, the 7 seals of the apocalypse, 7 days of the week, 7 sins and virtues, 7 levels of reality, 7 gates of dreaming, 7 heavens of Islam, 7 skies of Zoroastrianism, 7 musical major octave chords, 7 primary colours, 7 continents, 7 senses, 7 classical planets, 7 centres of energy. I could go on, but I'm going to stop there because I think I've made my point. Okay, so what we're going to do is focus on this last point here, 7 centres of energy, okay, which is talking about our chakra system. We know that everything is energy. With that being said, everything and everyone has its own energy signature. When you study the ancient mysteries, you quickly come to realise that the human biological nerve plexus correlates with the 7 planets of antiquity, meaning that both our chakra system and these heavenly bodies are connected. And the earth is the heart chakra. The heart chakra, the colour green, that connects with earth. That's why earth is an anagram for heart. a base chakra is Mars. The red chakra connects with Mars. They control our base chakra, by the way. So you need to think. So that if they're conquering planets that have a direct connection to our chakra system, they're obviously conquering the right planets, if you get what I'm saying. And the last one left that they need to conquer is Earth, and they can't, because it's the heart, okay? Because it's the heart chakra, and to destroy the heart takes a fucking lot, okay? But they're really trying. They're really fucking trying. But they own and control and have invaded and conquered every single other planet that's related to our chakra system. The only one that's left is Earth. Remember that. That is why Earth is so important. It's a gem. And that's why the last battle will take place on Earth. And that's not no biblical shit, alright? I'm not trying to preach no revelations to you here. I'm just telling you what's happening. Okay, now these 7 visible planets contribute towards every aspect of consciousness, and our nerve plexus contains the subtle energies veiled behind them. If you've ever heard of the saying, we came from the stars, well, this is what it's referring to. Human beings contain 7 bodies of multidimensional existence, which are all connected, and those 7 levels of multidimensional existence are fundamental to both our enslavement and our transcendence. Now, the source is the energetic center of consciousness, or the point from which all that is emanates from. Some people call it God, some people call it source, some people call it Allah, some people call it consciousness or the monad. Whatever title you pick, it makes absolutely no difference. It's all one and the same, okay? Now the G, or the 7, in the middle of the Masonic logo has been said to stand for geometry. However, some believe it stands for God, considering these lodge masons love playing God so much. So given that the number 7 is connected to our energy centers, which in turn is governed by source or God or pure consciousness, we can begin to see why the letter G has been chosen, because of its connection to the 7 and because the connection that the 7 has to us, more specifically our divine nature. Okay, to reiterate, everything is made up out of energy. Consciousness is energy. Thought, emotions and mind are energy. We always are and always will be connected to the one true source of this energy through our 7-layered multi-dimensional chakra system. And there are more chakras, but these are the 7 primary ones. Okay, so in other words, we are as part of the whole. It's the macrocosm and the microcosm. It's that relationship. Consciousness is energy and energy is matter. And this is a really nice picture which helps kind of illustrate some of the ideas I'm talking about here. These 7 rays radiate one source of energy, of vibrating at different frequencies. And it's important that we talk about the 7 primary colours and the 7 major chords quickly, because as previously stated, now different sacred geometrical shapes are associated with colour and sound. For example, the colour red is associated with our base chakra, and I told you it's associated with Mars as well. It's also associated with the C major chord, okay? So when I say everything is connected, I mean everything. When you hear that C major chord play, it's going to stir your base chakra, which is connected to Mars, which is connected to the colour red. And we can take this idea down even further when we see that there's 7 DNA families that can be further subdivided into 7 different families: A, B, C, D, X, Y, and RT. What I'm trying to show you here is that the number 7 is directly connected to our ontology. Not only that, but it ties in with our divine nature for the aforementioned reasons. Just because we've forgotten who we are as a species does not necessarily diminish the fact that at our very core we are multidimensional beings. Now, it should make a little more sense why the G is the 7th letter, and why God begins with G, and why those who play God choose to adopt the G as their insignia. Okay, now before I move on to the 77, let's just have a look at these quick. RH negative blood 77, Alpha Draconis 77, Secret Society 77. How do they propagate these bloodlines? Interbreeding 77, and Computer Hacker 77. This one might be a little unclear now, this Computer Hacker, but for those that have watched my Saturn Time Cube video, I'm sure you'll see where I'm going with this, and we'll get more into this a little later. Now, if you've been around my channel for a while, you'll know the importance of the number 93, or the number 39. They are one and the same thing, remember? Now, the particular consciousness that has been in control of this world for some time now is essentially vampiric in nature. And what I mean by that is that they feed off our emotions, which explains why we are shown nothing but death and sadness daily in the news, and it explains why life just seems to be this perpetual cycle of work, school, taxes, death. I mean, we have all been systematically suppressed as a collective. Now, we are told that the sun is 93 million miles away, and the sun itself is ultimately the pinnacle of life-giving energy. Okay, we can compare it to the ultimate archetype of the good, for example. And for this reason, we see solar worship in many civilizations throughout history, because the idea that the sun is good is ubiquitous. No matter what culture you belong to, the sun brings about positive changes by way of providing us with nourishment. And there is a universality to this idea, okay? Not only that, but the sun is the only natural source of energy that the earth has, so it makes sense as to why cultures would seem to repetitively venerate it over the years. Now, following this logic, if 93, sun, 93 million miles away, if 93 represents the sun and the life-giving energy, then the inversion of that would be 39, which would represent the opposite of those characteristics, okay? The vampiric consciousness that currently governs our reality can be directly connected with this number 39 or 93. Always remember that these numbers can be read from left to right or right to left. So we have Dracos, 39. Dinosaurs, 39. Reptoid, 39. And dragons, 39. Okay? Reptilian bloodline, 93. Reptilians are here, 93. Descended from dragon, 93. Protect the bloodlines, 93. Yeah, there's a theme here, guys, clearly. And I said that this particular stream of consciousness was vampiric in nature, okay, which, like I said, means that they feed off our emotions, okay, they're energetic vampires, but there is also the flip side to that. And in fact, everything that we've been told about vampires, the entire lore that we have about vampires, and the first vampire, Vlad Dracula, and all of that is directly derived from those beings from the Alpha Draconian Empire. Okay, what I'm trying to say here, vampires, they suck human blood, right, for life force and energy. Thinly veiled reference to the reptilians energetically harvesting us, but I mean, we also know that these people harvest adrenochrome. Being is that it's used for them to get high. Another is that it's used for them to help maintain a human form. And I've also heard adrenochrome is needed for the creation of stargates, but that will be Patreon content. Now, if you look at the name Dracula, the prefix was the first 4 letters, Dracos. They've just added the EULA. I mean, it's not difficult, guys, to spot what they do here. And in light of this, remember what I said about God and the G. Well, God sums to 26 and 17. Look what that prefix sums to, that Drac prefix, 26 and 17. Remember I said the reptilians were seeded here before humans. So Drac and God are a two-way match. And the first vampire, of course, was Vlad Dracula, created by none other than Bram Stoker himself. And no surprise here that Vlad sums to 39, like Dracos, dinosaurs, dragons, and reptoid. And so does vampire, guys. So again, I hope you can see the links and the connections here, because I'm trying to make this as straightforward as possible to understand, okay? Did you know that our queen, well, I say our queen, if you're from the UK, do you know what, I ain't calling that bitch my queen. I don't know why I said that. Did you know that Queen Elizabeth is related to Vlad the Impaler? Making Prince Charles the heir to the Dracula bloodline, okay? And you know what? This was actually in the newspaper. Prince Charles family tree. How Prince Charles is the heir to Dracula's bloodline. Guys, they tell you this shit to your fucking face. It's just all in code. Vampires are not real. Reptilians are real. Guys, it's pretty much this simple. They even put it in the paper. Prince Charles family tree. How Prince Charles is actually heir to the Dracula bloodline. I mean, switch that word out, Dracula, with Draco, and there we go. That's a bit more of an accurate title. But you see, they're telling you this shit in the news to your face, but you don't know what you're reading. But in their eyes, shit, if you don't know, if you don't understand, that's on you. But you can trace this back. They're literally telling you to your face that our royals come from this bloodline. You just now have to read between the lines to understand what these words really mean, okay? And I'll show you a family tree here and how Count Dracula is connected to the British royals. I've just remembered, about 2 hours ago, my partner came up to me and said, "Have you checked the news today?" I said, "I haven't checked the news today." But I knew something fishy might be going on, because today, June 16th, is the 167th day of the year. 167 is the 39th prime number. What do we know about 39? Guess who had a baby today, guys? One of the little Rothschilds. Yeah, that's right. So another baby Draco was born on this date. I did not have this in my presentation up until 2 hours ago. That is synchronicity at its finest. The news story dropped today, the 16th of the 6th, 2021. It's the 167th day of the year. 167 is the 39th prime. I had to get that in before we move on to the LGBT bit. Right, so as I was saying, Max Spears said it best. And if you don't know who Max Spears is, that is the person who I previously showed in this video, who was talking about the rhesus negative bloodlines, okay? And you know, want to know something even more ironic? They killed Max on the 16th of July. Write that date out, 16/7, 167, because he was exposing the Dracos. So they killed him on that 39 date. So don't sleep on these numbers, okay? Do not sleep on these numbers. Max Spears said, if you want to take over a planet, first you have to take out the dominant males, because the dominant males protect the divine feminine, okay? Now, if you've watched my previous video about the Wizard of Oz, you will know that the rainbow is not just synonymous with love, light and happiness and universal acceptance, yeah, and all that stupid bullshit. It has some very dark aspects to it that we fail to acknowledge because we're only shown one side of the coin. LGBTQ flag, 39. One gender, 39. LGBTQ on its own, 77. We know that their sigil is this rainbow flag. You want to know the element with the 77th atomic number? It's called the rainbow element. So we have clear connections here that stretch outside of the scope of the social sphere of LGBT, and they show this 77 has a direct connection with the rainbow. And I've shown you some stuff before. Look at atomic numbers of elements, because it's very, very important. Very important. So this iridium has an atomic number of 77 and is known as the rainbow element. What does hermaphrodite equal? 77, okay? Hermaphrodite sums to 77 too. These ideas can be seen to go all the way back to Ishtar. Men dressing up as women, women dressing up as men, fucking with the energies of everybody. This goes back, this is nothing new. Inanna, Ishtar is both male and female. Romulus were part of the worship of the god Hermes, so that whole male female dressing, cross-dressing was related to Hermes, okay, and Aphrodite. And here is another quote for you. The term hermaphrodite, the term is derived by joining together the two names Hermes and Aphrodite, so that's where we get hermaphrodite. The term came into ancient use through the legend of Hermaphroditus, son of Hermes and Aphrodite, who, while bathing, became joined in one body with the nymph. The term is derived from the combination of two Greek words, andros, meaning a man, and gene, meaning a woman. So that's where that word comes from, okay? I'm showing you here that this is nothing new. This is them practicing old sacred rituals again and again, but with a new face, with a rainbow flag this time. It has a new face, okay? And as it says here, in modern times, this ancient practice and religious celebration of androgyny is being reinstituted under the umbrella of LGBT movement with a heavy emphasis on transgender sexuality and gender fluidity. According to Wikipedia, this book states, in certain alchemical sciences, androgyny depicts the sacred marriage of the masculine principles, Sol, which is the sun, with the feminine principles, Luna, which is the moon. Divine Hermaphrodite is a physical representation of the mastery of both energies in this universe, the male and the female, the soul and the moon. So it's basic magical tenets that you might find in any occult school. However, these clearly have very different meanings when you look at them in this light, and this is where the number 77 comes in even further, because this image right here is a representation of the merging of the male and the female, the solar and the lunar principles in paganism and Kabbalistic occultism. So this image right here is the Kabbalistic representation of the divine Hermaphrodite, and as you can see, what shape does it make? That is a 77. Yep. So 77 is representative of the divine Hermaphrodite. And now, do you understand why we see 77 all over the place with the LGBT? Yeah? Hermaphrodite sums to 77, guys. You can't make this shit up. And we can see this same narrative played out again in Baphomet, because Eliphas Levi's Baphomet is another deity that had both the male and the female sexual organs. So it's just this same scenario over and over again. It's Crowley shit, it's 7-7 shit, it's paganism, it's new age bullshit about mastering the energies and bringing balance to the energies. Masked up as something very attractive, but there is clearly something more negative going on behind this, I think. And the idea of mastering duality has been a blueprint for many secret societies. Okay, so what do you think? They all just stopped doing that? No, they all were just like, fuck it, let's put it in a public movement and get everyone on it, and we can get everybody on this whole sex magic vibe that we're on. Essentially, they want to move us into a world of post-genderism. That is essentially what is happening here. Because as I said, the earth is the heart, and thereafter the heart. No surprise, post-gender equals 1, 2, 3, much like androgyny, reptilians, and the royals. And we're going to get onto another part of this very soon. This was just sort of a introduction. My introduction videos are usually shorter than this, but I decided to pack this all together and just give you all of this in one, and I'm going to put the notes in the bottom. The next video will be up very soon. The link for my Patreon will be in the description. Remember, there's no pressure, no drama if you don't sign up. It's just for the people that are interested, okay? I hope you like the video. Comments, questions, DM me on Instagram, preferably, because yeah, my comments be getting deleted left, right and centre, and the more subscribers I'm getting, the more of them that are getting deleted. Right, I'll be back shortly with another one, part 2.